AEW Wrestling. Something special, isn't it? I'm here with a championship that's not from AEW, so forget that title! Not only that, Fyter Fest, Fright Fest, Six Flags, No Flags, your flag, my flag. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to preview and predict Fyter Fest, which is a 2-week event. Night 1 being tonight, night 2 being next week. Like, subscribe, hit the like button, even though I just said that. Go nowhere else. You know, if there's one thing we as fans have all desperately felt and desperately needed, it's that wrestling show this year, or up to this point, that just really feels like it flows and it is something special. NXT TakeOver Portland was my show of the year so far. The Royal Rumble was okay. Elimination Chamber, Disaster, WrestleMania, that was a whole different animal. But if there's one thing that we need, it is that show that just feels great. Just feels great. You love it. You gotta love it. Fyter Fest has a card that is really damn good. And it's one of those situations where it is so good, it has to be 2 nights. 2 nights. 2 nights. Tonight is night number 1. Now, the idea is that I was actually going to push this out yesterday and have my Great American Bash preview that I paid money for a thumbnail for. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to have a Great American Bash preview, so I'm going to apologize for that. I've actually been going through a little bit of things. It's been very difficult for me with what's going on, and I haven't had the motivation, but I just found something deep inside. You know, things have happened, and again, whatever's meant to be is meant to be. But I can tell you what is meant to be. This show, Fyter Fest, is going to be something special. I'm going to preview and I'm going to predict the whole entire card, both nights right here. Tonight is night number 1. We got some good action and what should be a main event that is very, very good. Now, as far as the match order goes, I don't really think there's anything that we know that's confirmed. We just know the matches. I believe there's 5 matches on tonight. Let me look at this, what I took here. 5 nights on matches on tonight's show. And 6 on next week's show. So the match that might probably open up the show tonight would be the Private Party versus Santana and Ortiz. Both tag teams very good. Santana and Ortiz, Inner Circle, we get it. Private Party really kind of needs a win, and I feel like this is going to be a match that opens the show tonight, kicks it off red hot. Both teams can go very good, and we know that. I would predict Private Party to win this match just because I feel like they kind of need the win. They're both Quinn and forgot his name off the top of my head. They're so good at what they do. Very athletic, very, very fun to watch, and a lot of tag team wrestling, a lot of people on AEW will say it's a spot fest. That's your opinion. You know, sometimes it gets like that. The Young Bucks are great, but sometimes they get a little bit spotty, and it just seems like a major spot fest. I'm going to go with the Private Party to win. Not too much to talk about in that match. The next match is also a tag team match, and it's the Jurassic Express versus MJF and Wardlow. I think this will be a fun match, and this will probably be a match that is better than people think. As far as who do I think needs to win, you know, I feel like it could really go either way. I feel like Jurassic Express could win just as easy as MJF and Wardlow could win. MJF and just his gimmick and his character since he's been on AEW has just been so unstoppable. He's really one of the best heels in all of wrestling right now in any promotion, and he's just firing on all cylinders. And it just, for me personally, I don't really see any need for MJF and Wardlow to lose. You know, the Jurassic Express is fun. They're cool. I thought that this pay-per-view could have been used for a matchup between Luchasaurus and Wardlow, which I'm sure is probably coming at some point. Both are very dominant men. Zero Sugar Powerade hits so different. I'm going to go with MJF and Wardlow to win the tag team match just because I feel like, you know, Jurassic Express is great and all, but we don't need to see them win via roll-up. That's kind of just how I feel. I believe last show was a Jungle Boy that did beat MJF, or was the other way around. That was one of the matches actually going in. It was, what pay-per-view was it? It was, I lost my mind. Forgot what it was. But I'll go with MJF and Wardlow to win. And the match after that is another match where, you know, Penelope Ford is getting put into this position. Does she deserve to be in it? I don't really know. The women's division in AEW has been really, really lackluster, and it has been since the creation of it in October of 2019. Hikaru Shida has been one of the bright spots and been one of the best women the division has to offer. Hikaru Shida is the current AEW Women's World Champion, and she will walk out the same way she walked in tonight. Hikaru Shida will beat Penelope Ford for the women's title, and she will retain it. No need to give Penelope Ford the title. I thought personally before Penelope Ford got hurt, or not Penelope Ford, before Britt Baker got hurt, she was being built up really strong. She had an amazing character, and you know, her in-ring ability, you know, she always bled from the nose for whatever reason, but I thought that Britt Baker was going to be one of the ones to possibly take that AEW Women's World title off of Hikaru Shida. But right now, there's really nobody that really, you know, I need to see somebody in the women's division really step up and just grab it. Hikaru Shida is going to retain. The next match has a lot that can go into it. And there's so many different ways it can go. It's Omega and Paige defending their tag titles against the Best Friends. I'm hearing a lot of people say that they think the Best Friends are going to win the tag titles. Let me tell you why I agree with that. Omega and Paige. Well, Omega's at a point right now where he's cruising with Paige. You know, he's having AEW wrestling. But something about Omega, there's something about Omega that we know just wants to burst out. There's something that we just feel with Kenny Omega that we just feel wants to burst out, and you know he just wants to go on that monstrous singles run and just show everybody what he's capable of. We all know what he's capable of. We know he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. What could happen right here is Paige or Omega, whoever chooses, could turn on each other and cost each other the tag team titles. For whatever reason, I think that tonight is that night. I think that the Best Friends are going to win the tag team titles. I don't think Omega and Paige are going to walk out with them. I don't know why. I think that Omega and Paige could have a very, very good singles feud. They're both very great at what they do. I think personally the decision here would be to give the Best Friends the tag titles. Now, it's not going to be for very long because I think at some point FTR is going to find their way into that, and I think FTR should be one of the favorites right now for the AEW tag titles at some point. But I think we're at a point now where we don't need to see it on Omega and Paige any longer. We need Kenny Omega to spread his wings and fly. If that means taking the title off of Moxley, if they want to do the AEW World title, or if they would elect to have a smaller feud with Cody for the TNT title. But I think the TNT title needs to be given to younger stars that need to be built. Omega is already a monster. So I'm going to go with Best Friends to win the tag team titles, and that is why. Main event tonight, what I'm told is the main event tonight. Cody Rhodes on pay-per-view is such a great performer. I don't think I can sit here and tell you that I saw a Cody Rhodes match on AEW pay-per-view that wasn't good. When it comes to the limelight, Cody Rhodes eats it alive, and it's just so fun to watch. He's so great at what he does, and it's just really fun to watch. Jake Hager, on the other hand, I don't dislike him, but I don't think that Hager needs to win the TNT title, and I think Cody needs to drop it at some point before the summer concludes, but I'm not sure to who. There's a lot of options. I really like Shawn Spears. I don't know if they see him at that level. You know, Darby Allin is kind of dealing with something much bigger right now. Cody Rhodes should walk out with the TNT title, but I'm really intrigued to see how they go about this match with Jake Hager. Are they going to, you know, I don't think giving Hager the TNT title would make that much sense. You know, is it going to be a screwy finish? I don't think that they're going to have a main event be a screwy finish, but I'm just interested to see. You know, I know that it's going to be a great match, but I'm very interested to see on that. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going with Cody Rhodes, and that wraps up night number 1. Night number 2 gets a little bit frisky, as I will take a drink right here. I will take me a nice little drink. You know what that is, right? That's that Powerade Zero. Night number 2. What opens up? Couldn't tell you. Couldn't care. First match on here is Lance Archer versus Joey Janela. There's a better chance of me getting bitten by a shark on land than Joey Janela walking out with a win over Lance Archer. So you can kiss that goodbye. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a squash match. But there's been some special development between Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss that's really cool to watch. As far as Lance Archer goes, he didn't win the TNT title, and he needs a big performance here. This is the night number 2, as I mentioned. I would expect Lance Archer to be the winner here. If there's any match I can lock a winner on, it's going to be Lance Archer against Joey Janela. I think this is going to be an absolute squash fest. Lance Archer needs a win. You know, he's been built so well. He lost to Cody. I don't think that really hurt him, but I don't think that he needs to lose again. Nyla Rose is coming week number 2. From what I'm told, she's in action. First thing I looked up was what's the possibility for his opponents. Somebody said that Awesome Kong could be returning from pregnancy to beat Nyla Rose. That would be epic. That would be great. I think that would be the best thing to do. Or AEW can just be uncreative, just find a way to put Nyla Rose on the show and have her squash some random person from the middle of Kentucky. That's another way that they can go about it. I think that the person that comes out is going to be a very big surprise, and I think that that person is going to beat Nyla Rose. Unless that person is an unknown talent from West Virginia. If the person comes out and it's somebody returning, somebody making a debut that we didn't expect, you know, that I was just thinking about this. I don't think it could be that soon, but could you imagine? I don't think it's gonna happen. I really don't think it's gonna happen. Could you imagine if Tessa Blanchard debuted in week 2 and beat Nyla Rose? I'm just thinking. That's my my brain wandering off a little bit extra. Nyla Rose is not gonna win. Who comes out? If it's a jobber, it'll be 30 seconds or less. Tag team wrestling, and more tag team wrestling. Brody Lee and Colt Cabana taking on SCU in a tag team match. SCU has won a lot and they've been in the limelight. There's no need for SCU to win a match, especially against Brody Lee and Colt Cabana. Brody Lee lost to Moxley. He still feels important. Colt Cabana is, you know, it's one of those guys where it's like I want to get behind him, but I really can't. For whatever reason, you know, he comes off as a mid-card kind of joke, and he's good. It's not that Colt Cabana's not good. I don't know what the pairing of him and Brody Lee really does. Brody Lee is a great talent. I think Brody Lee and Colt Cabana are going to win this match against SCU. I don't think SCU needs to win. SCU's great. They're already established. What do they need to win for? Probably the match that I might sit here and tell you I'm looking forward to the most. Orange Cassidy has been this gimmick on AEW that has been, what's the word for it? Protected. To go out there and do what Orange Cassidy has done since his debut on AEW is probably so difficult. What people don't realize is that he is so great in the ring and he is so fun and energetic to watch. I've heard different people say things about Cassidy being an embarrassment to wrestling. Orange Cassidy is one of the hottest figures in all of wrestling right now. This idea for a feud with Jericho is literally gold on a silver platter. I think personally, this is the match I'm most excited for. Do I think that Orange Cassidy wins? I want to, but I can't. But I think this is going to be a fantastic match. We saw the match with Cassidy and Pac. That was literally fantastic. Cassidy can really go, man, and just his ability to do what he's done is so special and fun to watch. For you guys that are semi-tuned with AEW, this is your star match. This is the one you want to watch. We know what Chris Jericho's capable of, and I literally cannot wait to see both of these guys in action together. They're going to be so fun to watch. Personally, though, I think Cassidy's going to put up an amazing fight, but the only way I could see Cassidy winning would be a roll-up or some type of distraction or help. I'm going to go with Chris Jericho to win, though, when it's all said and done. But I think Orange Cassidy is going to... It's going to be a night where he makes a lot of fans, if he doesn't have them already. Chris Jericho to beat Orange Cassidy. Spot Fest alert. FTR and Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros and Butcher and the Blade. Butcher and the Blade aren't going to have too much to do in this match, but I can tell you this right now. The FTR and the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros are going to put on some of the most agile and gymnastic-like maneuvers that you probably have ever seen. You want to talk about a match that's going to be probably 100 miles an hour full of spot fests and things you've never seen. Boy, this is your match. If you're a high-impact person and you love that type of stuff, this is the match that you just need to see. I don't know how much of the actual wrestling match this is going to be. Part of me thinks that Lucha Bros and Butcher and Blade are going to win because it would set up a feud with FTR and the Young Bucks. But on paper, the much better team is obviously FTR and the Young Bucks. I don't really know how they're going to go about this. I can tell you off the top of my head how the match is going to go, and we all know how the match is going to go. It's going to be a flippy monkey spot fest. But does the FTR cost them and the Bucks the win, or do they win? this is one of the hardest matches for me to actually predict. I think... man, I don't know why this is so difficult for me to predict this. I honestly think... I think the FTR and Bucks are going to win. But then after the match, there's going to be some type of turning or what have you. But I'm going with the FTR and the Bucks to win. Main event. Now, Jon Moxley, his wife, Renee Young, all of you know she's in WWE, tested positive for the coronavirus, which means that Moxley immediately had to been sent home. I'm sure he was finding a way to see her on the road. And they haven't really been on the road. That's another thing. So I'm sure he's probably seen her more because they've been stationed in Daly's place in Florida. The coronavirus reportedly could be into your system for 2 weeks, which I don't know when Moxley, Moxley tested negative, which is great, but he still has to be quarantined. He can't, maybe, the day he got tested, it didn't get to his system the next day. Moxley's going to have to take a couple of tests. The worst possible case here is that Moxley tests positive right before showtime. That would cause a really difficult situation, especially because it's the AEW World title. Regardless of what happens, if this match goes on, Brian Cage is not winning the World title. Please stop. Please stop. Brian Cage is cool and all, but Moxley can drop this AEW World title, but it shouldn't be to Brian Cage. It should be to, honestly, if he goes on a monstrous singles run, I think Kenny Omega should be the guy to take it off Moxley. That's just my opinion. I think that if this match does go on, it's great. We're going to see Brian Cage look like a beast, but I think that Moxley is going to dig deep and he's going to retain his AEW World Championship. That's what I personally believe about that. I really do hope that that's what happens. I don't know what AEW's plans would be if it didn't happen, because Moxley's the champion. It's not like Brian Cage has it and they'd have to find a new challenger. You can't have a title match without the champion. They wouldn't strip him of it. Could you imagine that? That would be a WWE move. That's what that would be. I'll go with Moxley to retain the title, hoping that he is able to go, and hoping that Moxley is able to be ready to rock and roll on Fyter Fest. Would love to see it. I love Jon Moxley. I think the best thing Jon Moxley ever did was go to AEW, because he's just been, his whole career was reinvented, and I always felt that Jon Moxley had so much potential, formerly known as Dean Ambrose, and I was always a huge fan of Dean Ambrose. But ladies and gentlemen, that's my preview and predictions. I hope, as always, you enjoy Fyter Fest night number 1. Hope if you're watching the Great American Bash, you enjoy that as well. Like, subscribe, stay right here, and stay safe.